Premiership Perusal Podcast presents Lads on Tour. It's Matchday 3.
Matchday 3. Group stage is over.
It's over.
Now
34 out of 51 games.
Knockout stage. Yeah, I think it's like 70% are already over.
Crazy.
Insanity. Matchday 3 was, I wouldn't say it was failed to live up to expectations. There were some exciting moments.
Yeah, I thought there were some good games.
Just right off the bat.
I mean, I think that comes with the whole like qualifying thing in the knockout stages. There's going to be teams that have already qualified.
Yeah.
And like they can just play rotational players.
Mm-hmm.
And then there will be teams that are like knocked out already, like North Macedonia or
and they're kind of just
they're fighting for it, but they haven't been playing well.
Yeah.
So mixed bag.
Yes, definitely a mixed bag. Exciting moments, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure.
Within specific games. We'll start off Group A, wrapping up Italy, Wales. Both teams virtually had already qualified. Wales, technically, if some things went in the way of Switzerland and then the other groups, they could have fallen out, but it was very, very, very unlikely.
Well, they would have been third for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just
4
saying.
points.
I'm just saying if things went differently in other groups, there was a chance that they could have, but it would have came down to goal differential. It was literally like a 99% chance of them going through.
Yeah,
I just don't think it was.
If every group has a third place team with 4 points,
yeah,
which it's not going to happen. But this game, just one of those things, like we were talking about earlier. Italy rotated their squad.
A good amount. They still had like a handful of guys. Jorginho still in there, and Bonucci and Donnarumma, but they were all subbed out. Well, Jorginho wasn't. I guess no, Cristante came on. Yeah, they subbed him all off. They gave him rest anyways. So
yeah, they were already qualified. So
yeah, with this one. Anything stand out in your mind? Just right off the bat? I know that you're the Wales man.
This game, Wales, you could tell they were sitting back more like they did against Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
The key thing for them in not finishing third was to maintain the goal differential. So obviously you're just going to try and concede as few goals as possible. And that also means you're not going to play like what you did against Turkey, where you're going all out attack and stuff like that. So I thought it was very similar to the first game in terms of their attack was pretty minimal, but they defended all right, I guess. But also Italy just seemed like they qualified. So
yeah, with their backups in, it was a little different. But Wales did hold their own. It kind of forced Italy to go more like over the top balls, even though it was still in Wales half and whatnot. They're trying to get through with the over the top balls. But yeah, Wales really couldn't get possession going because Italy's press was just too much for them. I think it's crazy that, and this happened for a few of the sides, but this one really is a standout. What's his name? Pessina, not even supposed to be in the squad, ends up scoring. That's crazy. Isn't it funny how things work out?
Yeah.
Not even supposed to be in the squad, ends up scoring a game winner.
You never know what'll happen. Who'd he take the spot of?
It was guy on Inter. It was Sensi, I believe.
Okay.
Midfielder. So, but yeah, I would say Wales definitely made him work to get a shot, and then,
All right, let me ask you this. The Ampadu red card, what are your thoughts on that one?
It was a stamp, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I would have to give it.
It's funny though because it seems like most of the time dad's given as a yellow card,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like
By the rules.
if you give a red, as they were saying on the broadcast, like there's no way you can overturn that.
Yeah, true.
So it's kind of like a orange card. So
It's not. It's a.
we need an
Yeah,
orange card. You're out for
it's in between.
20
It's
minutes.
it's 1.5.
I thought it was a little harsh.
Yeah, I mean it could be a yellow. I would say it's a red just because it was a stamp. But yeah, with this game, I would say one main thing that I noticed too is when the over the top balls weren't working, Italy started making adjustments. I think that's massive going forward in terms of they have the quality of management. Because you'll see that with teams where they just beat their head against a wall and don't change from their tactics enough. They started playing more on the sides and then cutting it back with middle passes, especially from their like second lying attackers, kind of pretty much like their midfielders were pushing up edge of the box and then they'd feed them for a shot when they're cutting in.
Yeah, it seems like there's teams. This probably happens more in the national teams because of the lack of time spent together, but not having a plan B, really.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can have that plan B, that's important because it's not always going to go your way.
Yeah, it's going to set you aside separate you from the rest of the maybe half contenders or even the teams that you think not that great if they're a lower team and they have a couple ways to attack you. It's absolutely crucial.
Not to mention their key players getting a rest for this one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of games and not that many days, so having this day off pretty beneficial going forward.
Yeah. Do you think there's any way they put Verratti in their regular side? Because I know he was supposed to be in there from the get-go, and then Locatelli is just playing so well. And then Verratti comes in, he's playing really, really well this game. It's like they just have so much depth, it's hard to... You just kind of got to ride the hot hand.
I think Verratti will be playing, yeah.
Yeah.
As harsh as that would be on Locatelli, but...
He's just the household name. Yeah,
it's crazy, but always a great option off the bench. You know, What can you say?
Absolutely. Well, that one by Bale near the end, they had their chances, Wales.
Yeah, they did.
Not a ton, but that one was a pretty good one. Is there anything else you wanted to wrap up there? Emerson, Premier League player, soon to be not Premier League player, I'm assuming. He was always okay at Chelsea. Just never really played that much because he wasn't as good as Alonso when Alonso was in form, and he's not going to be as good as Chilwell.
Yeah.
So, but he looked okay out there. He looked okay out there.
He looked okay out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I don't think this match was that informative of
either side.
Of what either side were or what they'll be in the next match. So
even though it's Italy's backups and there are different tactics and whatnot, I was still pretty impressed by Wales' defense this game. I thought
that's
Rodon
fair.
had a solid effort out there. And I think, what's his name, Guntner? Yeah, their other center. Well, they played 3 at the back, I suppose, 5 at the back /
Yes,
Guntner.
Yeah. Gunter. Yes.
Something like that.
Gunter.
Yeah, he's, Nico Williams solid. Robert solid.
Solid.
The other game in the group, the Swiss and Turkey. What a game.
Yeah, Switzerland finally decided to show up and...
Most shots ever in a group stage game in a European Championship match.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they decided to do it on this match. I mean, they started early, the 6th minute strike.
Turkey came out firing too early on, and Sommer had to make a few good saves, and then it just all unraveled. Turkey's defense was really probably the most poor part of any squad in this tournament.
I was reading something, and it was talking about the coach and their preparation for this tournament, and they were saying, like, It was more like a vacation, and they were just kind of like chilling, and there was like a stand-up comedian or something,
A
and
Turkish stand-up
they were
comedian.
having a good time and just hanging with their family instead of really getting prepared. And I don't know. It's hard to say with these kinds of things like, oh,
How much validity there is to it, but
is this true? One, and does this really make that big of an impact, or would they have struggled either way?
yeah, because I mean, you could say that about certain teams where it's like they came in and they had like a laid back sense about them. Like if Italy came in doing stuff like that, you wouldn't hesitate. You'd just be like, oh man, they're cool, they got it, under control. But Turkey, poor performances makes you look one way.
Yeah. But then there is also the thing that, like, it's been a long season, so maybe it's better to give these guys a little rest time,
Yeah,
get them feeling good before the tournament. But that approach didn't work. They
believe it
did
or not,
score a goal
they
in
did
this
finally
game,
score a goal.
so
Well, it's just crazy because no team conceded fewer goals than Turkey in the Euro 2020 qualifiers. They conceded 3. They conceded 7 this tournament.
they looked really bad defensively, like
I
one of the worst teams.
Oh, I would say the worst.
I mean, well, let's not talk about certain
Russia,
teams coming up,
Russia, maybe a little Macedonia, maybe Slovakia.
aka Slovakia. We'll get to them.
Yeah, this game, Swiss finally, it helps the Swiss when they're able to kind of sit back and then they can counter, and they were able to counter this game. They executed their counterattack so well on many occasions, even ones that didn't lead to a goal. Shaqiri still had other chances. Speaking of Shaqiri, becoming the all-time Swiss goal scorer in major cup competitions for them, that's very impressive to him.
Yeah.
Maybe might get him a move away from Liverpool, or I don't think he'd get more time in Liverpool.
No, I
might
don't
get him
think
might
so.
get him a couple more cup appearances.
Carabao Cup.
Yes.
It did look more like the Shaqiri we're used to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, that's just part of, he's comfortable with the national team, knows his role and whatnot. He's been playing for him for so long, and being out of favor at Liverpool because they just have so many attackers,
It's a tough life.
it is. But that's the life of being a backup at a big squad.
That's true. Then you bounce around, and you're at Inter, and then you're at Stoke, and
Yeah. Never forget
then
him
you're at Liverpool.
at Bayern.
At Bayern, yeah. So any final thoughts on this match? Just
No,
disappointing from Turkey?
Yeah.
I know
It was-
you
it
were
was-
big on the Turkey coming
It just felt like there no urgency from them, and they didn't really have much going. Shahanalou was probably more focused on getting his contract at Inter, which I don't blame him. You see he's getting like 13.5 million euros over like 3 years. That's insane for him.
I just thought it was funny. He's like, makes an Instagram post. He's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Okay, bye, AC Milan. I'm out here.
Yeah.
I'm going across the street.
It's oh my gosh, Shahanalou. They at least had a nice goal with Khavechi. That's all I can ask for.
At least they got one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would have been sad
going out
if
with
they didn't.
0, that's just depressing. I mean, it's pretty depressing either way.
It
but
always was bad.
They were kind of like the team that makes you feel good. Like, oh, wow.
They were a dark horse that just didn't pan out, really, is what they were.
Italy looked great against them. Wales looked great against them.
Yeah.
And Switzerland looked
Great against them.
them.
Yeah.
So what's that say about Turkey?
They're the punching bag.
And then just to close up on this Group A, what it came down to between Switzerland and Wales was the fact that Wales got to play against Italy, who were unmotivated and already qualified.
Yeah.
And Switzerland had to play them when they were focused,
Mm-hmm. They had their top tier in there.
So that's just
Pretty
I guess
unlucky.
how
but
it goes, with the group play.
I still feel like Wales has been better this tournament in terms of quality of play than Switzerland. It might be marginal, but I would still say they've been better.
Just that slight difference between second and third in this group. Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, in this group, we'll just say, like, the teams that finished where they did, it was deserved. We'll take a look at Group F later, but
Yeah, Group A, it shook out how Sam said it would. We'll leave it at
did
that.
I say Wales second? I thought I said Switzerland second.
No, you said Wales second. You had Wales second.
Are we sure?
Clairvoyant. I'm
Play it
100%
back.
sure.
Play it back.
He's just humble bragging right now.
Hey,
we're
so.
this on this podcast, we're always vindicated.
Yes.
It's just a matter of which one of us is vindicated.
Yes, we
Sometimes
covered the
we both
board.
are. One of us is, but you know that at one point we're always going to be right. It's just a matter of who to trust.
And then there's the point where you throw in the turkey and you're like, ooh, okay, pretend I didn't say that one.
Yes, exactly. You want to move on? Group.
Yeah, moving on. Let's just skip down to Group B, even though
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
They were
it's because they did that double
opposite.
on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this one, the first game, Finland Belgium, 2-0 Belgium. They were able to rotate their squad. It looked. I mean, in terms of formation, it was virtually the same. They just had different guys in there. Trossard finally got a little run out. Premier League legends Nasser Chadley and Thomas Vermaelen.
yeah, dude, I didn't expect Thomas Vermaelen to play in this game. Let
get-
alone score a.
Did they give it to him or did they call it an own goal? Because it technically
They called it an own goal. Yeah, that's right.
I wish they gave it to him, even though he did punch it in. It was like on the line, and Hrdečky, like quick reaction, like knocked it in.
Yeah, unlucky.
What was I gonna say?
But they
about this
did.
one?
They rotated, but they also kept in De Bruyne and Lukaku.
Mm-hmm.
So still strong.
Yeah. Nice to get Witsel some run. Courtois obviously is gonna be in there for him. Premier League players, Batshuayi and Benteke also getting in this game. Not really doing much in the second half. They weren't really pushing for it too hard. They didn't really need to.
No.
But any real takeaways from this game? I thought it was a little interesting that they kind of struggled to score. There's a little pushback from Finland in terms of the defense. They didn't look as sharp as they did previously. But again, this is a rotated squad, so
Yeah, that's kind of to be expected, I would say. It seems like scoring, definitely, when you bring in different guys, it kind of
yeah.
isn't as smooth. But the thing I take away from this match, Finland had it all to play for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with a result, they can go through. It didn't seem like they really wanted it that bad.
They had that chance early on, and
Yeah.
it didn't go.
And then it
And
was
it
like,
just it's
okay.
like fall apart. It's like, yeah.
So I wasn't impressed with that. I wanted more energy,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't there. But
They
that's
really
okay.
didn't go for it. Yeah.
We don't need them. I'm sorry, all you Finnish people out there,
What
but
about Robin Lud?
yeah,
What about the lad?
We get our guys back. MN United.
That's
so.
true. Yeah, I didn't have a ton of takeaways when watching this game. Hazard didn't look too terrible in spots. He did have a nice shot, which Hrdečky made a save on off a nice little run, but that's really what I was mainly watching for. And a little bit of Trossard, but he didn't really do
Yeah.
a ton. It's kind of weird to see him. They had him more in like that wing back spot, which is definitely not where he's at Brighton. So it's kind of interesting to see the versatility he can provide. But when you're going against Finland, he's not going to be tested defensively all that much. So, other game, Russia-Denmark.
Yeah, this one was probably one of the games of the match day.
I would say it was definitely
game
one
of
of
the
the
match day.
more interesting games, just with all the goals and whatnot.
I
But,
mean, we were talking about Denmark in the previous episode that we were saying, man, it's unlucky what happened to them because they played well, and then they had the Eriksson situation, which was very unfortunate. But they come into this game.
yeah, we said they had a chance.
They have a chance, mathematically, through Finland losing by 2 goals,
Mm-hmm.
and they needed to win or something like that.
Yeah, they needed to win by, I think, 2 as well.
And win by 2 and Finland loses. Or
I think Finland...
just win by 2 and Finland loses.
I believe so,
Yes,
for
that's
goal
what it
differential. So with this one, again, we talked about it last time, but Højbjerg getting more forward than he does for Tottenham. Kind of, they have to rely on him because he is their best midfielder, that they're going to ask him to do a little more in terms of going forward and not just be kind of a ball stopper, ball winner in midfield. He did a good job facilitating. The first goal, he technically got an assist. I felt like it was mainly on Damsgaard.
Yeah, he got rewarded for his good play.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great player.
Yeah, he's more out wide, but this time central top of the box, just creates a little space for himself and
Yeah, rips the shot.
Him and Shaqiri had like virtually the same goal. It was just a little step aside and then.
I was surprised the way Russia came out and played. They kind of played like Stoke City. I mean, they were fouling, they were time wasting.
I don't know why, but I wasn't that surprised.
And then they go down, and it's like, oh boy, our whole game plan is ruined.
Yeah.
Because now we have to chase the game. And
boy, that second goal for Pulse, the back pass, that was
tragic.
Yeah, that pretty much sealed it. But
yeah,
they ended up pulling one back through a pen, which. What do you think about that pen call?
Yeah, it was soft for sure.
He went over a little easy, would you say?
Yeah, but then that's another one where if you review it, they're not going to overturn it because they say it's not clear and obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is some contact.
Yeah.
But it goes down very soft.
Mm-hmm.
But I do appreciate the way they've been doing VAR in this tournament.
It's better than VAR in the Premier League.
Miles.
Not even close.
Miles.
Not taking 10 years. The calls aren't like egregiously incorrect.
Yeah, you don't nitpick for the minutest of details. Case in point, the stupid freaking lines that they're like drawn down, and we're like doing some mathematics and
quantum physics.
Some sort of matrix stuff's going on, and then 10 minutes later, everyone's pissed off. Offside. It's like, screw you, man. This is stupid.
What was I gonna say? They made 4 subs right before their goal. I'm just looking at the recap. I don't remember those subs happening for Russia.
Well, they were like, that was at the point where they're like, okay, we gotta change this whole system because we need a result.
Yeah. Well, they pulled it back, and then Chelsea's own Andres Christensen.
Yeah, with the rocket.
With a banger.
That was nice.
Whoa.
Goalkeeper out of position.
Yeah.
Probably would have saved it if he was in position, but he was getting peppered. And then ball fell kindly.
Yeah, for him.
And then just the
counterattack like 2 minutes later.
The top off to celebrate. I mean, the place was going crazy. Fun to watch. Also, another one of those things where you're like, they had that home field advantage. It seemed like it definitely helped.
Did they play every game in Copenhagen?
It
felt like it. Yeah. They cheated Hungary. I'm standing by it. Hungary should have had all their home games.
I agree. We'll talk about that more in Group F because I actually wanted to bring that up. But
Højbjerg with another assist on this second goal.
Yeah, he had a nice game.
It was mainly at the run, though, by Male, who I was looking at some stat. He was like one of the most effective players just in general whenever he had the ball in terms of leading to creation stuff. Something you don't always expect out of like a kind of defender necessarily, but that's what Denmark's going to need going forward. Anyone and everyone to contribute and attack without Eriksen. I would say it's great for Denmark, not just for the whole Eriksen thing, but well-deserved. They're one of the better sides in the tournament, I would say.
Yeah.
And I felt they should have went through over Russia and Finland for sure.
Yeah, the tournament is better off with Denmark in it rather than either of Finland or Russia. Just straight up. So the group ended up almost like what we would have thought. We wouldn't have thought that Finland would have won a game.
Yep.
But,
that's how it goes.
They won technically, yes.
Yes.
But not in our hearts. I was disappointed by Russia. I expected a little more, but I think they're in It seems like maybe in a transitional period.
Yeah, I mean they don't have their classic guys that you think of with Jagovic and or not Jagovic. What's his name? Oh gosh, I can't think of his name. I know that Akinfeev they don't have anymore, and
Yeah.
I think it's Jagovs or something like that.
Jagoff.
Yeah, Jagov. His name. I'll have to look it up here.
Sagandis.
But yes. But
Ligma.
yeah, I don't know. They D's. They don't have Dizovich. But yeah, they have like all right players, just not anything too crazy, and that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna be taken from their own league, and the Russian league's just, it's okay. They might push a team to like the round of 16 of the Champions League, but it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the group?
Belgium was slightly not crazy, but slightly more convincing than I thought they would be. It was mainly the defense, but they didn't have anyone truly testing them in terms of attack. Did you have any thoughts?
Belgium, the first game they didn't look great, but now they have De Bruyne, who's fully fit. We saw the difference in the match against Denmark. He changed the game completely. So,
Yeah, he's a game changer.
he's a game changer.
To say the least. Here we go. Zhagov. Alan Zhagov.
Alan Shagandis Dragov.
Yeah. You want to move on? Group C?
Yeah, Group C. Let's go to Bucharest. Ukraine, Austria.
See, we were talking about this last time, and we didn't fully know how it was going to go because Ukraine can score, but Austria should be better. So that's why I wasn't too surprised with the result. Baumgartner, header off the corner. It's just Ukraine's defense isn't very spectacular, to say the least. I was a little surprised that they didn't maybe get a goal. Maybe this is the Austrian defense we kind of expected to be a little tighter, but...
First things first, Austria comes out with the Christmas tree formation. So...
Yes. So they were already off to a strong start.
Yes, Christmas vibes. Change for Alaba going out to the left.
The left rather than the back three.
Yep. I like that move because defensively he hasn't been that great playing center back, and they've missed him going forward. So this game he got forward a lot because Ukraine is Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
The finishing, though, we got to talk about Arnautovic.
It wasn't good.
This was like...
It wasn't good.
This is... The man's been in China. And he's been rusty. There were a number of chances where it's just like
he just had a breakaway and put it about
a breakaway
as wide as you can. Oh my gosh! It's
you can't miss those.
One thing's to be in those
better teams.
Yeah, it's one of those things to be in those situations, and when you're gonna have to finish, because if you don't do that against, I think they play next in the Netherlands, I believe. Is it the Netherlands or is it Italy? We'll get to it, but
probably
either way,
not the Netherlands because they're
in the
same
that's
group
what I was thinking. I believe it's Italy that they play next. But either way, if you play like that, you're not gonna win.
Yeah,
simple as.
Yeah, I mean they were creating chances, but it's like, oof.
You need to be putting those away.
We need someone up front other than
Arnautovic. And we were talking about before, they have guys that are more like false nines and kind of tens, more creator guys, not really goal scorers. And even Arnautovic, like he played striker at times for West Ham, but I always thought of him more as a wing too. So he's more of a creating guy.
Yeah.
But
seems like a lot of teams this year have lacked like an out-and-out number 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
It's part of the play now is they want guys to be able to do different stuff in terms of work rate and what they require out of strikers, but
Yeah.
there's just something about having a guy that you can put up top and he can just poach you a goal.
Right.
Ukraine let me
Ukraine.
down. I was cheering
Very
for you.
disappointing.
Still somehow got through.
Yeah, that's...
Anything else in that game, or you want to move on to the Netherlands game?
Let's just move on. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about in this game either because the
It's a
Netherlands
3.
already were qualified, and
I'm surprised that I guess they just wanted to stay sharp, sticking with a lot of their main guys.
yeah,
Depay, Malen, Wijnaldum. Gravenberch got a start this go around, but Patrick Van Aanholt back in the squad again.
I was surprised Daley Blind played. I mean, he's a guy they've been taking off around like the 60th minute.
Mm-hmm. And then he played the full game this time.
So it's
They
like
took off the Varai.
it seems
early.
like he'd be a guy that maybe you just would have him rested for the next game.
You would think.
So we'll see how they come out. We'll have to watch out for that.
If they're a little gassed, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they will have... I feel like a lot of teams would be refreshed with the longer little layoff period, but...
There's also some to be said about having the momentum.
True.
Good results.
Keeping their form. I was surprised that North Macedonia, it didn't really feel like it, but they had around 40% possession. I don't know. It just felt like to me that the Dutch had the ball for like way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not
This is
much
just
to
one of
this
those
one.
games that's like,
It's
it
kinda there.
has to happen
Yeah.
for it to
We were maybe
have
hoping
other more
North
exciting
Macedonia
games.
could have a nice little send off, but that's
Yeah.
storybook.
Farewell to Pandev.
So this group finishes Netherlands 9, Austria 6, Ukraine 3, North Macedonia 0. Outlook for this group, I can't see any of them winning it. Netherlands could maybe, if they catch someone on the right day, go to the semifinal.
I think the Netherlands exceeded my expectations. I mean, they had the first game, which they kind of slipped up. But
Yeah.
other than that, they looked solid. They looked a lot better than the other three teams. That's for sure. But
yeah,
that's not saying much.
I think it was
interesting
important.
to see when they face a better team, like how they look. But
Yeah, even though they did slip up, it is important that they got that result against Ukraine, because if they ended up with the 2-2, it could have unraveled
that's
easily.
For sure.
Yeah, if they're fragile mentally, it definitely could have been like, we
Yeah.
just blew this game. Oh no.
Yeah, they got the little warning sign the first game, like, okay, it's not going to be super easy. It's just going to be pretty easy.
Yes, you just can't take Daily Blind off all the time.
Yeah.
Group D.
Group
The
D.
big D. The big D. So, England, Czech Republic, for the top of the group, got a 1-0 for England.
Yeah, England coming in with some changes. The main ones being Saka and
Airy.
Grealish, and Harry Maguire is
Airy.
back. They looked a lot better going forward this game. They actually looked like they had some creativity with Saka and Grealish, and that
Creating
showed in
chances.
the goal.
Yeah. Even Shaw this game had more, like, in terms of passes, putting people into better positions.
Yeah.
It was just better all the way around. I think part of it's the way that the Czech play versus Scotland's play of England is just a little different. Scotland did a better job at neutralizing England. I feel like I'm just slightly too high on England's defense, because they are giving up chances and no one's taking it, but it just feels like impenetrable at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good defense. Adding Harry Maguire, of course, helps. Not to mention, he had a great pass to Harry
Harry
Kane.
Kane, yeah. That Kane.
He was through on goal and it got saved, but you can't underestimate that kind of passing range. People like to joke about him, but He's the best center back in England and one of the best in the world.
When you have Tyrone Mings, who's playing like one of the better center backs of the tournament, in my opinion, and you can comfortably take him off, not have to worry about it because you got Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
That just shows the depth, let alone the quality.
Yeah,
Of
you
the
don't have to
team.
be like the Netherlands when you take off Davy Blind. Oh boy,
like,
what
who
happens
knows?
now?
Yeah, the uncertainty. They did end up sticking with Rice and Phillips in this one, so they did stick with the defensive pairing. Not quite as good as maybe the Croatia game, but I would say they were even more effective than the Scotland game. I feel like there's kind of a sense of urgency from England in this game to go out and make sure that they got all 3 points in this one.
Yeah, I got to give them respect because they realized against Scotland it wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they made changes. Of course, it was Mount and Chilwell were in isolation.
Yep.
That's correct. So Mount, the only one who's played out of those two. Chilwell hasn't played, but
Yeah.
maybe a change that would have happened either way. I don't know.
Yeah, just to spark something.
But a lot of people were surprised that it was Saka instead of Sancho.
You see, the thing is that I kind of like Sancho more on the left, and that's Sterling. For Foden, I mean, you can do interchangeable things with these guys and swap wings and whatnot, but maybe it is just better that Saka brings that more dynamic approach in terms of work rate than Sancho would.
Yeah.
And that's just important in terms of what England need in terms of getting the ball back and having their possession.
Saka reminds me of someone who's just like unfazed. England has all this pressure put on them from the media and the world and high expectations overall that, to win the tournament or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like Saka, he comes in,
Doesn't let it get to him.
doesn't bother him at all. I mean, he's playing Sunday League or something.
Yeah.
And he's just making good runs.
Yeah, he's very cool with the ball.
Confident.
Easily winning it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's definitely very impressive. Harry Kane, it's just not clicking right now.
Nah, he just needs one.
Yeah,
One to go.
open it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, clearly getting his best chances this game out of any of the games, you'd say. But
Yeah.
I noticed this game he at least didn't have to come back as far to kind of try and spark something, so that's a better sign for England. The secondary level of playmakers in terms of Grealish and Saka were so much better than the previous game. And like I said, part of that's just Czech wasn't going to be pressing as much as Scotland and
Yeah.
sitting as far back, but credit to him.
I was impressed with the spacing of England going forward. They have guys like, Jack Grealish, he likes to go out wide sometimes, but
Yes.
he was also coming in centrally, and Sterling was staying out wide and coming centrally, but it all seemed like they knew where each other were, and they weren't stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, because whenever Grealish was more a little out wide, it was to Sterling's side, and Sterling almost pushed forward to be as like a second striker with Kane to give him space. So, yeah, it definitely felt like there was some kind of, for lack of a better term, like togetherness in terms of understanding where they were.
Yeah.
And really being...
It wasn't just like they stand...
There's a cohesiveness to their unit that they put together out there.
They were standing as like a front four, and no one's making runs, just waiting for the ball, which, doesn't get you very far. Like we saw in the Scotland game, no one was doing anything. People weren't making runs, and then Kane has to come back to get the ball. And
then poor decision-making in the Scotland game in terms of passing a lot of times, or this... It was more clear-cut. It was really... The first and the last game of this group for England were very similar in terms of quality. I'd say the last game was even better than the first game, which is important going into the knockout stage. Maybe you just attribute the Scotland game to a hiccup in terms of, it's a rivalry game and Scotland showed up and England didn't fully show up.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Scotland. They played very well, and they had a game plan to come in, sit back, absorb the pressure, and try and hit on the counter, which
Yeah, they did.
they,
They did in terms of they
yeah, they
created chances and they sat back well and
they stuck
defended.
to their guns, and it
Yeah.
worked out for them. They got a point. Yeah, but I think for England, this is big though. Like you were saying, they're hitting their stride. It seems going into the knockouts.
Yeah.
So I think the best of England is still to come.
Oh, it definitely is, only because you have to back that Kane will eventually get it going.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the one major thing you're looking for. Any standouts in terms of the Czech side? Schufal didn't have as rough of a go as he did with Grealish with West Ham and Villa this year,
Yeah.
where Grealish kind of not really took it to him, but he had a pretty good game against Schufal, where this game he wasn't really going up against him quite as much, but
Yeah, I just wasn't super impressed by the Czechs
yeah.
going forward.
It's one thing to sit back and kind of build faster out from the back, which is what they do against Scotland and against Croatia, who wasn't fully clicking, than it is against England.
Yeah.
You're sitting back against England and you're going to let them have the possession and move at their own pace with the possession. That's probably, I don't think the Czechs have the quality to keep up with England
No.
in that situation, which showed today. Showed today.
Yeah.
Anything else you
deserve
want to say
3 points for England
going
in that
forward
one.
on that one with the future lineup maybe for England? Potential outlook?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they stick with the same thing. I would think they would. I mean, I don't see any reason not to change it. There is, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice might be more useful against Germany, who they play going forward in the knockouts. So I don't see them changing that.
Yeah, I think they're just going to stick with virtually, for sure, I would suspect the same defense unless they see some way that like Reece James or something could exploit
I'm
the
glad
next
you.
opponent, but
I'm glad you brought this up. I actually really liked what they did. So they had Shaw on the left and Walker on the right.
yes.
So Shaw would get up a lot, help out offensively,
Mm-hmm.
and then Walker would stay back, and it'd be kind of like a back three.
Yes. And then
I really liked it.
if they needed to, they could just slide Phillips or Rice over on that right side
Yeah.
as the pivot. No, they definitely have a nice kind of setup, and their defense is just really figuring out an attack for sure. And even when right now you wouldn't say they have it fully figured out, you'd say they probably have it like somewhere between like 75, somewhere around that 75% figured out. They
Yeah.
can still bag goals.
Yeah.
So I have faith in them in terms of getting at least to the semis and if not the final. So anything else you want to say to wrap up this game?
It's coming home. No, let's move on to the next match: Croatia versus
Scotland.
Scotland.
With this game, it always kind of felt like Croatia. I mean, they had the possession, but they were much more. It just felt like Scotland were easier to break down with Croatia
Yeah.
going against them than England. And I feel like part of that is Scotland was really up for that England match. You could tell.
Yeah.
I mean, with that rivalry game, they brought a whole nother element to it. Against Croatia, I mean, Croatia never beat Scotland before or anything, but there's not really like a rivalry or anything to it. So the
Yeah.
players, I mean, they had it all to play for, Scotland. So there's obviously motivation, but there's something about that extra layer of motivation they had previously then in this game.
Also, didn't have Billy Gilmore this game due to
Mhm.
COVID.
Who
So
is massive for them in the
yeah.
game against England.
So his presence was missed in this one. The first goal for Croatia, like you said, it was a kind of soft defending from Scotland, and
Yeah,
it was
which-
disappointing.
Yeah, you really hadn't seen, even against the Czechs, they were playing better defense, more organized, for sure. But before the goal by Scotland, Lovren getting yellow, going to be out for their next match. So we've mentioned before how Croatia's had so many changes with their back four, and they don't really have like a set unit. This is just going to change again.
Yeah, especially since they use like the 2-2. So now they'll have to mix in,
Yeah.
it'll be like a inexperienced combo.
It's probably one of those things where it helps in terms of, the other team doesn't fully know what to expect. But with that said, they not playing together definitely outweighs whatever added mystery bonus against the other team, I would say, in terms of being on the same page chemistry-wise with your teammates. Scotland pegged one back, though. 42nd minute, Callum McGregor.
Yeah, it was pretty hype. I mean,
was.
they were going crazy.
Talk about vibes.
And they had some chances with Che Adams. He's so close.
That one, if he would have had a diving header, how insane would that have been?
That would have been insane. Yeah, it feels like he's so close to just elevating his game to the next level of being like a legit goal-scoring threat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Southampton will need him to make that jump this year.
Yeah, they will.
Maybe he will. Modric with a insane second goal.
Dude,
just class.
Oh, the outside of the boot curler, filthy. Absolutely filthy. Like, I need a shower after watching that game. It was a throwback performance from Modric.
Yeah.
We were talking that he hadn't really done a whole lot in the previous two matches, but in this match he
really
shined.
Yeah, he put the big boy pants on and carried him. He's like, I am the captain of this game right now.
Yeah.
Let me show Scotland who their daddy is.
Yep.
Mateo Kovacic assist, by the way, on that one. What do you think of Armstrong filling in for Gilmore? I think it's all right only because they needed something. So sacrificing defense for a little more attack and Armstrong. I mean, it's unideal that you lose Billy Gilmore because he's a good player for him. But
I like Stuart Armstrong.
He's solid. It's
the thing that helps in this game is that he runs like forever. So
yes, it's just at times at Southampton it feels like he's kind of just out there. I wish he was just slightly more effective at creating
impose himself on the game more.
Yes.
Yeah, he did have a nice cross into. Was it Che Adams?
Mm-hmm.
Who was close in.
He's kind of just like an 8, but it feels like at times I just wish he was slightly more of a 10 than an 8.
I think at his best he is, but it's just about finding that consistency and maybe finding the next echelon of quality in the chances maybe.
Yeah.
Because he does a lot of good work. We saw him with Southampton. He had some good performances, but
especially early on in the year when they were clicking, he was important to him. Perisic, third goal. He's kind of starting to find it as their main guy. I don't know if you want him to be your main guy because he can provide moments of magic, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, he's not an out-and-out 9, so you're just counting on a winger to make your chances.
I feel like without having a guy like Mandzukic out there, this is what you've kind of have to settle for. I mean,
you have to settle for wingers and hybrid forwards, as Tommy Tuchel says, and Kramaric. So, it's the lack of this is the tournament lack of a true number 9 for some of these teams. Yeah, we did mention last game that Rebic was really bad, so it's interesting that they with their tournament campaign on the line, they put in Vlasic, who ended up scoring.
Yeah, right.
Anything else you want to mention about this game?
Anything stand out? I was just sad that Scotland didn't advance because
it was sad.
They're fun to watch, but I think it's a good performance to build on. They have some quality guys, some young talent.
It's not as because for Scotland for a while it's been just pure despair. Yeah, this at least is like a glimmer of hope and something to kind of build off of.
They have quality guys. I mean, a young core like McTominay, Gilmore, Tierney, Robertson,
Armstrong solid.
Armstrong,
They have
Che Adams, if he elevates
Christie.
his game.
Christie's pretty solid at times. He didn't really show it this tournament as much as he can, but
They
have
exceeded
guys.
my expectations in this game.
Definitely.
Not in this game, in this tournament.
Yeah, I got what you meant. But
it'll be interesting to see, qualifying for the World Cup if they can do that. I'd like to see them.
Definitely.
It's a tough thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Qualify out of Europe into the World Cup.
Yes.
So.
Group E, Sweden, Poland, 3-2. Wouldn't have expected it just because Sweden hasn't really been the goal scorers club of the tournament, and they've mainly been defensive, yet Lewandowski getting 2 and Sweden somehow getting 3. But Poland's defense this tournament's just hasn't been as good as it should be. As it should be.
They got hit right away. Second minute in, Forsberg.
A little fortunate bounce for him, but still a great run off that throw in. Nice little link up play. Isak holding it up.
Yeah.
Very nice element in his game there that he showed. The miss. You want to talk about the miss? I told you. Farmers League. Literally Robert Levin Frodsky.
Absolutely true.
Oh,
and then he goes on to score a brace. But hey, still Farmers League. 100%. That's so funny, though, that you mentioned that because, that's all I could think of when he missed that. Farmers League.
Yeah. Well, because he had the one against Spain, too, where it's one-on-one with the keeper and shot right at his chest. It's what was that? But I don't know. I think when, especially with some of these nines where they're the main guys, it must just get to him in terms of, especially Lewandowski, because he's by far the best player in his team. But maybe that's going on with Kane too. He's just forcing it too much, overthinking it.
Yeah, I could see that.
But second goal, Forsberg again, really been their talisman.
Yeah, for sure. He's had a good tournament. He didn't start the first game. He was on the bench.
But I don't know if that was more because they felt he needed rest, or they felt they could get a result without him, or what that was, because he's always been their main kind of guy,
right,
in terms of midfield. But the last few years, Kulishevsky, 2 assists for their last 2 goals, kind of coming into his element here. I expected big things from him this tournament. He's just a good player, very versatile in terms of at Juventus. They kind of asked him to defend a little more. When he was at Parma, they asked him to do pretty much everything. He's almost like a Saka kind of guy in terms of he has the talent to be like a winger, but the team needs him to almost be more like a wing back.
Yeah,
that gets forward. So it was a good performance by him. But then Poland, they get the 2.
Yeah, they get the 2, and it's game on.
Yeah, that first
from down 2-0. I mean, at that point, you're thinking okay, Sweden probably has this in the bag. Poland hasn't shown that much going forward. So, but
the first goal is a little less about Sweden's defense and just Lewandowski created barely any space, yet hits a curler.
Yeah,
upper 90.
Yeah,
that was a little unfortunate. The second one was the first time where I saw Sweden. I was like, oh man. We kind of had a little shaky at the back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they can iron that out for the next game. It'll be interesting to see if they were the true frauds. If they were the Group E frauds.
Yeah, Swedish frauds. And then the game winner in the 94th minute, madness.
The sub for Forsberg. It could have been a Forsberg hat trick.
Yeah, it could have been. But it was not.
No. Yes. Just walked in.
It was just madness. Great game. I didn't expect it. Also, a note, Krakowiak got another yellow card. And I was like, oh, here we go again. And then right away, they subbed him off. I just wanted to mention that.
Get him out of there. With this one, we'll talk about the other game, but it results in Sweden being top of the group. We talked about in the preview that I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go out and say that they were going to be better than Spain. I should have just said it.
You should have said it.
They
You would have
had-
looked like a genius.
I know. We would have made up for Turkey. And then we would have been neutral.
Yes.
We would have been par for the course.
No. I say putting Sweden above Spain.
Is better than taking a flyer on Turkey.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, taking Turkey, that's one of those hot takes people forget about. Whereas when you're right about one that's like not too outlandish, but it's definitely not what most people would think would happen. Anything else you want to take away from Sweden, Poland? It's more one of those games that's like fun to watch just because there's not a ton of Premier League guys and you just get a little more familiar with
Yeah.
the world game.
Yeah, I liked seeing the more attacking side of Sweden in this one.
Getting forward.
It kind of cemented they were the best team in this group, even though their average possession was like 29%.
Yeah.
But still, for some reason, they had the quality in their chances and they
Going
took
forward.
them.
Yeah, they definitely have. When you have a guy like Isak who's able to create his own stuff yet can score.
Yeah, huge.
Forsberg's able to create his own stuff and score. Kulusevski's more of a create for others than create his stuff and score, but he can still score as well. So they have the stuff going forward. That's not their main thing, is constantly pushing to go forward and holding possession. But no, they're definitely an enjoyable side to watch. It'll be interesting to see them. They should probably get to the round of 8, but we'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
Spain, Slovakia.
Oh boy, we all
We
knew
saw
this was
the rise.
coming.
We saw the rise and fall of Newcastle goalie Martin Drubka.
Do we have to?
I feel bad for him
That
because he had
rough
amazing
one.
saves. He saves the pen, and then he literally just absolutely. We were talking about some game last week where someone took a just big old poop right in the middle of the field. That was
he died.
That
right?
was it. That was the biggest skid mark of a performance I've ever seen on that play. To just completely like whiff on the ball, but yet get enough of it to where you punch down and it goes into your own net.
No, it just from absolute hero to zero, like
Instantly. But
both ends of the spectrum.
the funny thing is that it completely led to the collapse. Just
Yes.
as soon as that happened, I feel like if it was a normal goal, maybe it wouldn't have made Slovakia
Yeah.
just completely just
Demoralizing.
yeah. They
had a
wanna
little momentum off that penalty miss, but then it all just fell apart. And I thought this was going to be a boring game, but
I did too. I felt like because Spain just hadn't been in form, it'd probably be like a 2-0 kind of performance, and they're like, whatever, we'll just take it. Slovakia I think this just talks more about Poland's defense in that first game to concede to Slovakia.
yeah.
They didn't have anything going forward in the other games.
No. Yeah.
I mean, it is a difference between you're not going to have the ball much versus Spain, so you're going to have to make do with only a few chances. Sweden's just good defensively, so it's always going to be a struggle. But they scored twice against Poland, where it's like they didn't really sniff the goal
one
net.
was against 10 men. So,
I guess, but still, unmarked man in the box. Always kind of rough.
yeah.
But
Can we talk about that Ferran Torres finish?
oh yeah,
Oof.
there it is.
Little backheel flick.
That's what I'm
Tasty.
talking about. I told they need to get him a little more involved. He's a better attacker. I would trust him to bag more goals than Morata.
Oh,
And right now,
yeah, for
Moreno,
sure.
a little out of form. We might even back Torres to create better chances than Moreno. But Sarabia is really the guy, it felt like, going for him this game. He was finally clicking. He had a goal. I believe he had an assist. Maybe he did not. No, he did. He assisted the Torres goal. And he also had the shot that hit the crossbar
Yeah.
that Drup could put in, so he'll be claiming that one. He'll be claiming that one.
This is kind of like the proof of concept for what Spain does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
This is
you
what
can
you
always
think.
look at this matchup and say, okay, Slovakia defends well, but not against this. This is kind of one of those games where the way Spain plays can really unlock a team, and it did.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Dave getting in there provided a little more attacking from the defense than we'd seen previously, in my opinion, from like Lorente and whatnot. At least that's what I saw. He was whipping balls in and whatnot, and we know Dave's solid defensively. Otherwise, there's not a ton of takeaways from this one,
no.
other than Adama Traore got in there. We were talking about that too.
Yeah.
Maybe getting him a little run out there, see what he can do. It wasn't really what I thought would happen when they got him on, but he got one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with Group E wrapped up, Sweden, Spain, Slovakia, Poland.
I just want to say we were vindicated on Poland, 100%.
Yeah, no, they are who we thought they were.
Yeah. The real surprise.
And we didn't let them off the hook.
The real surprise being Sweden.
Yeah, they were good.
They were good.
Group F.
Group F.
The battle of 2-2 games.
The group of death, or more like the group of
The
disappointment.
group of twos. Everyone beating up on each other.
It's funny, this match day, each match day has had this like weird pattern of like, oh, there was own goals and missed penalties. And then this one was braces.
Yeah.
Lewandowski had a brace. Forsberg had a brace.
Cristiano
Ronaldo, the pen merchant himself.
Yes, Penaldo, of course. Who could ever forget?
Benzema.
Yeah. It was truly it's a tournament of patterns.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. So anyways, Germany versus Hungary, the match we've all been waiting for. Could Hungary bring the vibes and
Take it over the top.
take it over to the Germans and say, Das ist alles, Deutschland, auf Wiedersehen.
Man, they came at him.
They
early.
came at him, hit him in the 11th minute.
That was
on
a
the
great
counter.
ball.
That
was
was
a great ball.
Yeah.
And this just shows Germany's defense is still shaky.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame Hummels as much for letting him get behind because he was just holding a slightly higher line. It was Gintner who was off the man that was playing him on. So he dusts Hummels, but he's on, gets the goal. Neuer kind of didn't really have much hope on that one because he wasn't
he
far
kind of
out.
just came in.
Same with the other one, the second one. We'll get to that, but
He was coming in hot. He's like, ah.
He's like-
It was a nice finish, though.
it was Adam July of Bundesliga Stroika.
I gotta say, just a side note on this one.
Mhm.
Disappointing this game was in Munich.
I know.
The-
we talked about
Dude,
it.
Munich
last-
is like the most anti-vibe stadium.
It really is. And you can sit there and say with their chants and whatnot when Bayern are in the Champions League. No, you're wrong.
Just like the fact they didn't let that many fans in
Yeah.
versus in Hungary where it's like nuts. I want to see this match replayed in Hungary. What happens?
3-0 Hungary.
I think
no doubt.
Hungary, they might have,
Yo-
they get off. If Hungary scores in the 11th minute at home, madness.
Pans to Yogi Love just sitting there, expressionless face.
Picking his nose.
Yeah. He did it again. The real German fraud. Well, one of the two. Kai Havertz
Yeah.
bags it in. It's kind of a weird goal. It was a nice play by Hummels to be aware to pass it over on that header, but I don't know. Gulacsi kind of just caught in no man's land, really, is what it came down to.
Yeah, that was. It's like he came out and then he was kind of out of position and trying to get back and didn't look too good in that moment. But it didn't matter because right off the kickoff, Schaefer
That was
hits him with the old pop, pop.
little ball forward, kind of laid off, little nice link up play. And then the final through ball was like perfect because Neuer was not ever going to get there
No.
with where the ball was. And the attacker gets there, gets the header.
It's like Germany just fell asleep. Like they were like, okay, yeah, we scored. It's 2-1. We won.
They like panned to Mueller in his face after they conceded. It's like, wait, what?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Defense? Is anyone home?
I'm sorry, we could not take your call right now.
Goretzka.
I was so disappointed when they scored to tie it up, and they're like, yeah, and it's like, no.
We don't need Germany. We need Hungary. Come on.
Sadness. I just want to say, in this game, Germany went with a different lineup. They went with Sane and Gnabry. To me, Sane and Gnabry are very similar players.
They just have them in different spots, but yet they both excel at the same kind of movement, at least when you think about for club. I know that Gnabry's not always necessarily wide for Germany, but I feel like he is a little better when you give him that space out wide and kind of let him free roam. Whereas with Sane and Gnabry in this formation, they kind of feel like it's congested.
Yeah, they both want to do the same thing. They both want to get on the ball and try and beat someone on the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, Sane has got to be the most overrated player ever. Like, I don't see it. He tries to dribble, gets it taken off.
I don't want to turn this into a hot take podcast.
I'm
but
steaming hot.
I was gonna say, like, is there any chance that he becomes like this new generation version of like Coutinho, where it's like there, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't fully click like we think it should, because the talent's there and he's scored goals and created so many assists over the years at City and Bayern, but I mean they're different players, but I'm just mean in terms of like failing expectations, because
Well, I think Coutinho had solid seasons. Can you say that about Sane?
he was pretty important for a couple City seasons, and Bayern he's had moments, but
I'm not a fan.
I don't know if he's a primary guy on the best of teams. He might just be more of a role player kind of guy, or a secondary creator for one of the better teams. But I mean, we always thought it was crazy when Man City signed him when he was unproven for like what, 45 million euro,
Yeah.
or 45 million pounds.
Yeah.
It was pretty insane, but yeah, I mean, because who else? You would just start Mueller up top still, right? And then
I
have
was
Gnabry
surprised
out
they
wide.
didn't play Mueller. I mean,
I wish that there was a way that they could. I mean, it's a completely different system, but I always feel like Goretzka's probably the second best German midfielder. I feel like he should have been playing over Gundogan, but Gundogan's form, and he's one of Jogi Löw's kind of guys that he keeps around. That's of the older generation, not really the newer guys, but
I just wasn't impressed by the tactics of Germany, what their game plan was. It didn't seem like they really had a game plan for their offense.
No, their attack it's just too much of a mixed bag for me to trust them, and that's what I thought coming into the tournament. I think that Germany was spot on, and if you would have told me that they finished with 4 points and like 1 goal differential, I'd been like, yeah, that sounds about right. And it's not even because they're significantly better or worse than these sides. They're just kind of right on par with Portugal.
That's fair. In this game, Gosens didn't get on the ball at all compared to the last game. Was complete opposite.
Couldn't exploit the width as well as they could against Portugal.
Yeah, I mean Portugal made it pretty easy.
Yeah, it was like here's a red carpet right up the wing onto net for you to swing balls in
multiple times.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what Germany do going forward, because this was definitely a step back compared to the Portuguese game.
Yeah, huge step back. But, yeah, I mean, they made it through Sadness for Hungary.
Yeah.
We all wanted them.
Speak.
They brought the vibes.
Speaking of Portugal.
Speaking of Portugal.
Portugal, France. Early on, it was kind of really. It felt like they were just kind of feeling each other out. It didn't really feel like there's anything crazy happening. And then when it came to the goal, set up the pen that was set up by the play. What did you think of that?
I'm trying to think back.
It was the punch by Lloris.
Oh, the punch, right? Yeah, that was
Because
the first one.
I didn't go back to watch it. I just watched it the one time. But Taylor Twellman mentioned something that like it looked like he punched the ball first. I thought it hits Danilo's head right away, and then Lloris just maybe it's a part of the ball after. But
I thought he got the ball first. Like just barely.
I must have missed that because I didn't see that.
Yeah, he got it like a little bit, but it looked so bad when he like
followed through because he really didn't get it that much.
No,
he got pretty much all.
And honestly, like the only reason it was a penalty was because he hit him in the head. Like he got the ball. I don't think it should have been a penalty, but then it's like, but he also just punched this guy like right in the head.
Yeah. So. Well, he's done this before. He knocked out Michu in like 2012 or 2013 in the Premier League. Lloris with his punch outs. Secretly a dirty player, a little dirty Frenchman.
Yeah.
A little snail. Little weasel.
So then who steps up? None other than Cristiano Ronaldo, the tap and pen merchant.
Never scored against France before.
Yep. Then he just goes wild.
Celebrating with the teammate. That was great.
It was a little much. I mean, it's like this man makes it look like he just.
That's what's so awesome about
won the World Cup.
That's literally why he kind of
like calm down, man.
That's why he kind of rules because it's like it's so over the top, and he did like nothing to get forward. It just came down to him converting the pen. Which, hey, in this tournament, just can't take it for granted. You can't take that for granted.
Wait, this match day, we score pens.
Yes.
Although except for Spain.
Yeah, but Spain's sadness when it comes to pens.
So I just wanted to ask you though, Bruno Fernandes sitting, Renato Sanchez in for him.
Well, they kind of changed it up because we were talking about last time where it's like, why do they have 2 6s out there with Pereira and Carvalho? And now this time they get rid of Carvalho. They bring him off the bench, whereas, like I'm saying before, they didn't have it that way. But Bruno Fernandes, he's been struggling, to say the least. I mean, I don't mind them going Montinho just to change it up. He can provide a little different kind of dynamism than Bruno can provide. But
yeah, and Renato Sanchez actually looked really good in this game as well. The first half, I thought Portugal looked impressive coming out. I mean, once they got their, a feel into the game, they looked like the better side. France looked very lackluster, like they weren't all that interested in the game.
Yeah, they just didn't have the mentality, I feel like, that they have previously when going forward. There wasn't as much conviction with their attack as previous games, and even against Hungary, like it wasn't super convincing in attack. France and England kind of having the same issues right now, but France getting a little more results wise than England with their goals. But France obviously defense not quite as sturdy as England.
Yeah.
The second goal in this game, pen for you?
That was another one that was like...
It's so weird. Because Mbappe clearly spots that Semedo's making that run, and he's like, all right, he's going to be in this spot. If I'm there just a half second before, I can tip over, and then we got a pen.
Yeah, it's like
So he was there, and then Semedo goes into him,
Yeah.
and then he's like, oh.
My thing with that is like if that's somewhere else on the field, is that given? Maybe not. But it's also like
I
he's
feel like
through on
it's,
goal,
yeah.
so it's got to be a pen, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Benzema slots it.
Yeah. So it seemed like right away there, you know, right before halftime,
They're finally
they're
clicking.
finally getting some momentum. They've woken up from their
Slumber.
however you say nap in French. They had a big baguette, like the carbo load
They
weighing them
were,
down. They
yeah,
burned it off
there's all
finally.
the snails. The
And then they
frog
come
legs.
out second half, score right after halftime. Benzema again.
Mm-hmm. Pogba with serving one up.
That ball was
Serving one up.
a nutty ball.
I couldn't believe they called it offside just because normally they'll let it go to VAR, but it went to VAR
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, I did notice that as well. It's like, why'd you raise your flag right away?
That's kind of weird. But yeah, good finish on the break. Made a sub. Rabiot coming on. Rabiot's just, I think, well, because didn't Digne get a knock?
Yeah, Digne had to leave. He came on and came off.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have tried to make a like for like if possible. They don't really have like a. I mean, I guess Pavard is a fullback, but he's generally not on that side, and I think they wanted to kind of give him a little more rest. But
I was impressed with Rabiot. I thought he was doing a really good job of carrying the ball forward.
yeah, I
Forward.
just felt like with how things were going, it would be better to stick with what you had going.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
that's fair.
But they made the adjustment.
He did a good job of like retaining possession and
Yeah, it wasn't like he was terrible. It's just like you finally have this momentum. You finally took the lead, and now you're gonna kind of change your tactics a little because of the injury. I mean,
what can you
look,
do?
Deschamps knows his team better than any of us.
And
but
two plebs sitting around a card table. Sorry, this is a professional studio. Actually,
we're in a penthouse suite overlooking the city
Yep.
of Minneapolis,
Bucharest.
and St. Paul. We're in the janitor's closet at the Bucharest Stadium doing this podcast.
Some babushka just yelled at me. Do svidanya.
Ronaldo again. Ronaldo again, 60th
Pen
minute.
merchant.
This one, I don't know. This penalty was a little more clear and obvious, I would say, on that hand.
Yeah, it was just
That was
way
a clear,
up high in the air.
clear cut and dry one.
That wasn't any expected position.
They
So.
bring Bruno on. He didn't really get it going all that much for him.
No.
I don't know if it's a mix of the tactics or if it's just, I mean, it's been a long season, and they make him play so much at United.
Yeah, I think he kind of burned out. I mean, the stats, if you look for him, the second half of the season,
We're down.
a lot less production as
Yeah.
compared to the first half. And
Hopefully
I think
they
that's
can get
just
him
kind
some-
of continuing on into this tournament.
Yeah, I think, man, you need to get some more depth in terms of their attacking midfield, but that's a different conversation.
I mean, not to mention trying to get Donny van de Beek more
Yeah, get him
integrated into
going.
the team so he can relieve that pressure.
True.
But they might sell him.
They
Who
might.
knows?
Who knows? It was for Bernardo Silva, who he looked better this game going forward.
I
He
thought
was
he had a
kind of
decent game.
invisible at times. I felt like in their last game.
Yeah.
For as much attacking as there was, it was like, well, Silva. Neves coming on. Didn't really provide all that much. I mean, they didn't really have to do a ton. Just kind of hold it is what they were going for by taking off Montinho, who had some nice little plays in there. I would say that they still would like a little more, almost like they expect the role of a 10 out of someone, but they're just not getting the production quite yet. But so that would be something to watch in their next game, see if they can have someone that can be a little more of a catalyst from the secondary level of the midfield going forward. Whether it's Sanchez, it might just be Renato Sanchez, and they just got to go with that.
Yeah, I liked him in this game. I could picture him playing in that same position going forward.
Semedo didn't get torched quite as much this game.
He still didn't have a great game.
He didn't, but it's progress, I guess, for him. It wasn't giving up constant chances every 2 minutes.
Yeah, but Portugal got the result, got the point
Yep,
that they needed.
So that group finishes France, and then Germany, Portugal, Hungary.
Just like how we all envisioned it.
Yes.
Except it took some weird turns, and
it was way uglier and less.
It was completely what we did not expect.
It was just ugly. It was ugly.
Like there was the stat you brought up about Hungary leading the most.
Yeah, that I texted you. Yeah, it was. Hungary led for a higher proportion of minutes than the 3 qualified teams of the group of death at Euro 2020. So Hungary for 34% of their games led. France led for 30% of their games. Germany was 18%. Portugal was 14%.
Hashtag justice for Hungary, baby.
They deserve it.
Let's get the 4th place qualifying team in here.
Yes. They deserve it more than
Switzerland.
Yes. Just for the vibes.
Ukraine for sure.
No, it's the Swiss. We kicked the Swiss
out. No.
We don't like the Swiss. Get them out of here. So that's it. Any major standouts in terms of players, whether it's disappointments or maybe even surprises?
I guess the surprise player would be Saka. I don't think anyone expected him to play
as well as he did.
Play at all, honestly.
I suppose.
Maybe make like a substitute appearance to like see off a game, but not to be in like a starring role like he was.
That's fair.
But as an Arsenal fan, we love our boy.
Yeah, you expected it. Non-English one, I would say the main one for me was Sarabia.
Yeah.
Because Spain really haven't got it going, and he was finally a catalyst for their attack. He with a goal and an assist. Got it going for him. Forsberg, obviously, fantastic out there as well. In terms of defense, you know who else had a pretty good game?
Who's
for
that?
Spain? Laporte.
Yeah, got his first goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Christensen, pretty solid. They conceded. Wasn't really his fault. Got a goal. So Shaqiri also, great match day. So.
Modric, game.
Yep.
Damsgaard.
The revival of
Luka Modric.
Yep.
He's back.
He
was just resting the first 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's back.
I wouldn't say surprise, but if I had to pick guys for England that really stood out, Shaw, Grealish, and Saka.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed. So moving on to the upcoming matches, the knockouts, the round of 16.
Big time stuff. We got big time stuff. We got Sam's Wales over here.
Wales versus Denmark. This is a tough one for my club, Wales.
Are you going through prediction by prediction?
Yeah. Quick thoughts, rundown predictions.
I'm going to go 2-1 Denmark in extra time.
I'm going to go
2-1 feels like the right scoreline. It's just a matter of who. I just don't know who.
I'm going to go it's 1-1. Wales threw on penalties. Come on, boys.
Respect. Italy, Austria. All the people are giving Austria 0.1% chance to win the tournament.
And that's still too much.
I would be surprised if this wasn't a 2-0, 3-0 performance for Italy.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy. I mean, Austria can't finish against Ukraine.
But
how are they going to finish against Italy?
This is where they pull one. They're saving up all the magic for this one game, and they just hit 4 outside the box curlers on Italy.
And who's going to score those?
That's going to be All David Alaba.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
pretty
finally
much.
forward now.
Yep.
So those ones definitely some good games to watch there. Sunday, Netherlands and Czech. Czech a little more down. I would go and I'd back the Netherlands 3-1.
I'm gonna say 1-0 to the Netherlands. I think maybe the Czech Republic can frustrate the Netherlands defensively.
I could see it.
So, but I just haven't seen enough from the Czechs going forward that they could win a game like
Yeah.
this. I
Well,
mean,
it's one
unless
thing when
Patrick
you have
Schick is like
if he's
flexing
on.
on him again.
If he's on, you never know. I mean, they really need one thing that they really need, and no one's ever really talked about. They need Dorita to step up. He's their 10 in terms of like a playmaker and creating chances. One of their goals, halfway goal from Schick. Another one of their goals off a corner that resulted in a penalty.
Yeah.
They need something in terms of getting regular, consistent chances out of their playmakers. He's their main one. They gotta get it going.
Yeah, for sure.
To have like a chance.
Has not been there. I'd like to see a little more out of Thomas Suchek as well.
Yeah, they don't really. I mean, they don't fully use him the way West Ham does.
No.
Because they don't quite have the quality of West Ham does, so they kind of need him a little more defensively, more so than allowing to be free range and get up and attack.
Yeah.
But I agree. They could use him. They could use anybody.
They could use me.
Yes. What they're saying out there on the wing, he'll swing balls into Tommy Suchek.
Oh, yeah.
Belgium, Portugal. I would say this could be another 4-2.
Oh.
But I don't. Belgium's defense has been better than I thought. They had the one mess up against Denmark, and after that, it's been fine. We'll go. I feel like really high scoring games here, but we're just gonna go 2-1.
Yeah, this is the battle of like not very good defenses. So I could see it.
Yeah.
Also, very
could
talented players going forward.
I could easily see like Belgium, just one of these games, their defense does just kind of collapse.
Yeah, I when I look at this match, I just think, maybe Portugal has a chance. And then I think about Tomato and him getting torched against Germany, and it's
And
like,
you're like-
okay, if I'm making a game plan against Portugal, I'm like, okay, everyone run at him, and then whip in across, and you score goals.
Both fullbacks for Portugal were just so bad in that Germany game, so it's just like getting wide at any point is really going to help, whether it's they use Hazard going forward from that wing back position. Castagna would be amazing. I mean, him and Gosens are both, well, Castagna was on Atalanta, but they're both Atalanta boys at heart.
R.I.P. Castagna.
Yeah.
Gone but
really
not forgotten.
Really could have used him.
So my prediction for this game is 3-2 Belgium. Extra time.
I like it. This one's going to be really interesting for me because so it's Croatia Spain. We'll just get that. We'll just at least mention that while we're thinking about this. Did you want to start this one first?
Yeah, I'll start it. To me, it doesn't seem that interesting as it seems to you. You seem to be deep in thought on this one. I think this one seems like an easy win for Spain, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because with that back line, we'll see how much of effect that has on Croatia. Another change-up, just another. They seem to be able to deal with it so far through all their qualifying and now actually in the tournament. I just want to see if what Spain had against Slovakia was real or if it was just Slovakia.
Fantasy.
Was tragic.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they have struggled. There is a world where Croatia can frustrate Spain.
Yeah, and then hit with a Perisic goal on the counter.
I'm a little concerned about the center back, Delio.
Yeah, they've had Moreno out wide. If they try and get him more central against Croatia's backup center backs,
yeah,
you more than likely have a better chance of going through, I would think.
Or it could just be like when they played against Sweden and just couldn't score at all. I mean, they get chances, but just
I'm going to go with a 1-0 to Spain. And
um,
it's not going to be super convincing. They'll have way more possession and they might have more shots, but Croatia will probably create some chances.
I'm gonna go with the 2-0 to Spain.
That feels like one of those that could be a kiss of death.
That could be.
We give them
yeah.
the kiss of death. France, Switzerland. This one, France is really... I know they've been struggling the last couple games. Until they're beaten, they're always going to be the favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with a 2-0 for the French here.
We'll have to see. Do they play like the first half against Portugal where they were kind of lackluster? This game isn't.
That's how they play against Hungary, too. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
just
this game isn't
nerve-wracking for France. Walk in the park. It's not a guarantee.
It's not like a primetime game. It's not your marquee matchup against like Germany or something when your players are all up for the game. Maybe they show up and, like you said, they're slow, like against Hungary, like against Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
But if they decide to turn it on, then
It should
Paul
be...
Pogba whipping balls through to Benzema from 40 yards out.
Yeah.
It should be easy on paper.
I'm going to change mine. I'm going to go 3-0 France.
I was thinking 3-0 for France as well.
All right. Now we know it'll be 3-0 Switzerland.
And Bolo hat trick.
England, Germany. This is a big one.
This is a toughie.
When you look at the style of play of England and Germany, England is gonna... They're gonna have a little less passing than Germany, but they're gonna be a little slower. And I'm just wondering if there's a slight chance where I could see Germany kind of controlling this game. But from what I've seen from England and how they like to play, I think that England's just going to kind of hold the possession. They're going to try to get Grealish and then whatever secondary guy they have going that day, whether it's Saka or it's Foden or, whoever it's going to be, try and get them going out wide with Shaw, with Walker, even though Walker's more back this last game, try and get those guys linking up, get them through, and try and feed Kane.
I picture it in my head. Saka blitzing down the wing, passes to Harry Kane. Go! England has done it in the 91st minute. It's 2-1, and England are through with a historic victory.
Imagine getting dusted in the 91st minute, having no one back in that scenario for Germany. You just have a guy
I like the
past him.
matchup, though, for the English attack versus the German defense.
Yeah.
I think there's opportunities there.
Germany doesn't have like sneaky... They do have sneaky quickness. They just don't have regular pace. So if there's a way that England can get a little more open at times, that will best service England, because England have some quick guys.
Yeah.
Some very quick guys in Sterling and Saka. Even if Sancho gets a run out, you almost wonder if they might, how much they'll lean on Sancho, not necessarily for play, but for information about, guys' play styles and whatnot, and what their weaknesses are.
I like that Germany, they're going to be pushing up with the wing backs with Gosens and Kimmich.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll leave space for, Sterling or Saka, Sancho, get in behind.
Yeah.
I think that could be dangerous. And I think Germany hasn't looked all that great going forward. If you take out the Portugal game as kind of like the exception because of the terrible defending, they don't look like they really have any idea what they're doing. Unless you give them a clear, here, come do this, and do it multiple times.
Gosens walk towards the net and then pass it to the side.
Especially the defense of England, you have a solid center back pairing, Maguire and Stones, most likely will be in there.
Pickford's been solid in net as the last line of defense.
Has been excellent. Kyle Walker adds some more defense in there.
Yeah, Shaw's been solid on defense too in terms of tackles and clearances and whatnot. He's been very efficient. I'll go 1-0 again. I think that's just what England's gonna do.
And
They
then
could maybe see a 2-0 if they get like a late one where Germany's kind of really pushing up, and then England just leak out and get one. But
in addition to that back four, you have Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice sitting in front of them. So
it's going to be hard for Sane and Gnabry really to do much.
I really don't want to see that lineup again.
I think I would be surprised if they did. They might just put
they got to do Muller
up top and then Gnabry more on the wing. I would say, and then Muller, that'd be much better than Sane in there, only because he at least provides the experience in terms of going forward and knowing how they're going to want to play.
Yeah, I think he's just overall more dangerous of someone you expect to score. I feel like Muller gets in those positions.
Or at least just in terms of chance creation, too, in terms of distributing it to teammates and whatnot. So
yeah.
Do you have a prediction?
Like up 2-1.
2-1. You think that England's going to concede?
You know, I said 2-1 because I said it in my little
yes
monologue, whatever. So I got to stick to it. Well, I think Muller will score.
Muller.
I think, okay, we're going to start off. We're getting in depth with this.
Who scores the first one? Harry Kane gets one?
Let's see. First goal is
Super Jackie Grealish.
First goal is Jack Grealish. Assist from Saka. Second goal, Muller after halftime, maybe 60th minute or so. From a cross. Gosens, assist.
Oh, really? A header.
And then, like I said, it's going to be Saka flying down the wing.
Swinging in for Kane. Gets off the...
Swing it in for Kane.
Breaks the duck in the 90th minute.
Game.
Well, last game is the battle of the blue and yellow countries.
Oh, true. The blue and yellow derby.
Sweden and Ukraine. I feel like this one would, even though Ukraine can randomly just surprise, this feels like if there was one game besides France and Switzerland that I would put as an absolute lock.
Yeah.
Maybe Italy, Austria too.
Yeah,
those two are locks. But if I had to pick a third lock, it would be Sweden to win here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go with a 2-1, even though it's going to be one of those games where it looks closer than it actually was, because Sweden will just be sitting back for a good while, and very end Ukraine might get one. But
yeah, I think I like the 2-1. Maybe they're leading like 2-0 for a long period of the game.
And then it's like 93rd out of the 94th minute, and Yarmolenko
yeah.
hits one, and you're like, all right, well.
I'll go 2-1
thank
with
God
you.
we got two. Is there any... What would you say is the game to watch besides England, Germany? Belgium, Portugal?
Belgium, Portugal. Just because it's like... Well, they could be just torn apart by Lukaku and De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm.
But they also could maybe like...
If they get off early, you never know.
Yeah.
But there's been games where they've scored first. You just saw with France. They score first, and then they end up conceding anyway. So it's like no lead is safe with them, but you can never count them out either. They're that team.
And then my match that's kind of like the under the radar. You know, we've said the two biggest matches, but Wales, Denmark.
That's what I was going to say. As like the third most entertaining.
It's kind of like the best of the rest.
Yes.
Outside of
both
top
teams
contenders.
They're different in their own rights, different play styles and whatnot, but I would say pretty even given Wales' form. I would say just on paper, Denmark is better by a good margin, but Wales have been playing very well, and all it takes is a little bit of magic from Bale or Ramsey.
And Wales have been solid defending, and Denmark haven't looked super convincing. I mean, the game against Russia was kind of weird.
That game was convincing.
It was
the game
convincing.
against Finland. We always throw out. The game against Belgium, emotions were so high early on that they were easily able to, come out, and they were just playing with so much passion and fire. But that's going to eventually wear off, which it did, and Belgium was just a better team. Denmark is kind of such a hard team to get a read on for this reason. I figured that they'd be one of the stable teams, kind of like Sweden, where you go and you're like, you know what they are. Either the team that they're playing is worse than them, or more than likely is just going to outclass them. But you know their play style, you know their quality. Both Denmark, you don't really know that because Eriksen's situation and all the factors that it's had on this squad. So like I said, I feel like it's 2-1, and it could go either way, Denmark or Wales.
Yeah.
I back Wales to be better in attack in this game, but even though their defense has been solid, it really comes down to what's better, Denmark's attack or Wales' defense in this game.
Yeah, I think the Welsh defense just won't give up as many opportunities like Russia did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the lack of a true number 9 for Denmark is going to be a weak spot because they've relied on goals from outside of the forward position. I mean, Poulsen has scored a couple, but
yeah, he's the closest thing they have to a 9, and he's relatively a 9. I mean, when he plays for Leipzig, whether they have him paired with someone, or he can be by himself, but he's not. Yeah, he's not the best 9.
I think for the national team, they said he scores like a goal every 6 games. So it just shows he's not consistent in his goal-scoring threat.
Exactly. But if Wales have a back pass that goes beyond Danny Ward and goes for a tap-in, Poulsen will be there.
He'll be there, yes.
Oh, man.
It'll also be interesting to see what style does Wales decide to go for. I'm afraid that they're going to be more on this like sit back and defend.
I hope they play like they did against Turkey, where they might not have the most possession, but they're not afraid going forward. They're aggressive when they have the ball. They're willing to try and get Ramsey and Allen forward and not just sit back saying, oh, well, we can't give up any chances.
Because really, that's where you're going to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to succeed playing just straight sit back and defend, not in a knockout game. You're not.
No. Well, because Wales, while they can counter, and we saw that at the end of the Turkey game when they did that, their best chances were definitely in the first half. Like that second goal they had against Turkey where Bale just walked all the defenders and laid off for tap-in.
Yeah.
That chance wasn't even as good as any of the Ramsey chances in the first half where he's just clear on net with a shot. And that came from a little build-up play, and then they hit him with the over-the-top ball at the right moment. Playing their own style while being aggressive with the ball, that's what Wales got to do. I hope they do.
I want to see them come out.
Very fun to watch when they do.
And really stick it to the Danes right away.
You want one
get
in the first 5 minutes.
Grip on the match. If they can do that, because that's what it felt like with the Turkey game. It's like they come out and they have chances.
Yeah. They had chances all throughout the first half.
And then this game's not in Denmark.
Yeah, that'll be different for Denmark because we have no proof of this, but we feel like all 4 games for Denmark were in, or 3.
Yeah.
All 3 were in Denmark so far. So
they 100% were.
Yeah, which it makes me wonder why Hungary's. I'm upset. I just feel bad for Hungary.
Yeah.
Pour one out for Hungary.
Pour one out for the dead homies, Hungary. Gone but never forgotten.
Well, anything else you want to say before the knockouts start?
It's coming home again. Yes, we're back.
All right. You want to tell people where they can find us, Sam?
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, as well as other places that I didn't know existed. But the links are down below in the YouTube video. Or if you're watching on Spotify, listening on Spotify.
Yeah, what do you think? This is Joe Rogan where
Keep
we have
doing
the video with Spotify?
Yeah, we don't have the $100 million yet. Hit that like button and maybe we will. Okay, bye.